Staffing and Scheduling Coordinator Basics. Understanding that patients and aides are the customers, and you are the company. You represent all Metro Healthcare to the customer. There is no separation between the two. Whether it's within your direct control or not, patients and aides expect you to fulfill their needs and serve their purpose. To cement this in your mind, use I in your communications. Don't use phrases such as the policy or the branch manager says we can't do that. By using I, it shows you understand and acknowledge how the customer is feeling. Being reliable. Reliability means providing what was promised, dependably and accurately. Of course, sometimes promises made in good faith can't be kept because everything that affects your customer's experience is not in your control. Take the appropriate steps whenever there is a problem. The first thing you must do is apologize, even if it's not your fault. Don't waste time scapegoating. Admit something has gone wrong and immediately start fixing the problem. Just like you can't promise sunny weather, but you can promise to hold an umbrella when it rains. You can't promise that there will never be a no-call, no-show, but you can promise to keep a patient informed and identify all the steps you're going to take to locate a replacement. Being empathetic. Ensure you understand the difference between sympathy and empathy. A sympathetic response might be, I was really disappointed in the agency's performance too. An empathetic response would be one that affirms and acknowledges the other's emotional state. Instead of the above response, you could state, I can understand why you were disappointed with the agency's performance. When you respond to customers with sympathy, you're taking on their emotions. With all that you handle on a given day, this can leave you frazzled and you may burn out. The trick is to be emotionally aware without being too emotionally involved. Only then are you able to be at your best to solve the customer's problem. Knowing the deadly sins of customer service and avoiding them. Part of being a great coordinator includes knowing what not to do. Do you remember ever making these statements or thinking these thoughts in your encounters? I don't know. I don't care. I can't be bothered. I don't like you. You don't know anything. Don't come back. I'm right and you're wrong. These are customer service sins that you can control. The customer is always the customer. Patients and aides are the reason the company is in existence and the reason you have your job. Knowing this should help keep the focus not on the problem, but where it belongs, on keeping the customer. You need to be sensitive to the customer's feelings and acknowledge that they're human and have faults. Depending on the personalities involved, it can be a tremendous challenge, but your goal is to help customers without blame or embarrassment. 3 recommendations. Number 1. Assume their innocence in any issue that arises. Number 2. Look for the opportunities a challenge can teach you. And number 3. Always believe your customer. Even if they're mistaken, it costs you nothing to extend them this courtesy. Honesty is the only policy. Honesty is the best policy. It is the only policy. Why? Even little white lies catch up with you. Customers respect people that are honest. And it makes you feel better about yourself, and this directly affects your job performance. Doing the right thing. Doing the right thing for a customer frequently requires judgment call. Apply common sense and consideration to unique situations that arise, rather than avoiding them. Listening is a skill. Use it. Most people who become good listeners work at it. It isn't something that comes naturally. To become a more effective listener, we first recommend that you repeat what was stated back to the customer. Then ask questions if you were at all unclear of any of the details. Try reading back important information, for example, addresses, phone numbers. This will reassure patients and aides that you understand what they want and are in a position to fulfill their requests, and everything will go smoothly. Asking intelligent questions. Act like a good detective and ask a lot of questions. Background questions. These are basic questions that give you facts about your customer. By asking these general questions, you'll be able to judge if you can meet this customer's needs, or if someone else would be able to serve them better. Probing questions. These are open-ended questions that dig for details. Avoid closed questions that can be answered with a yes or no, as these won't provide very much information. Confirmation questions. This type of question is basically a restatement of the customer's request. However, by restating it as a question instead of a statement, you get a reply from the customer, which will confirm that their needs have been understood. Using winning words. Certain words or phrases can create an instant negative response from your customer. Saying such things as, "I don't know," "that is against our policy," or "no, that isn't acceptable," will only further aggravate or upset a customer. Instead, use comments such as these. "I am not aware of the answer to that, but I will find out for you right away. We cannot replace the aid immediately, but we can work to find an aid that may better suit your needs. I can see why this was a problem for you. Let me see what we can do to correct it." Tips for telephone talk. Unlike face-to-face interactions, where the customer can see your posture, gesture, and facial expressions, customers on the phone get their entire impression of you strictly from the words you speak and the tone and quality of your voice. How effective is your telephone style? Does your voice show enthusiasm and interest in what you're doing? Do you answer the phone quickly and courteously? Do you identify yourself to the caller? How are transfers handled? Do you give your customer the name and phone number of the person you are transferring them to in case of a problem? Are messages handled in a proficient and professional way? When you have to put a customer on hold, do you always ask their permission? If a customer does not want to be put on hold, offer to take their number and call them back. Never underestimate the value of a sincere thank you. Don't take easy customers for granted. When a customer takes the time to give feedback, take the time to give a sincere thank you for their efforts. Thank callers for waiting. A simple acknowledgement that you appreciate their patience works wonders in diffusing what could become an irate customer. Even thank your customers for complaining. Customers who tell you they are unhappy are giving you the gift of a second chance. Thank them for this gift. Customer pain points. These are the following from patient satisfaction surveys. Creating a permanent schedule and quickly identifying or assigning replacement aids when necessary. Answering calls and returning messages. Providing advance notice of schedule changes. The most frequent comments submitted pertain to messages that went unanswered and not knowing who would be arriving to provide service. From aid satisfaction surveys. Feeling appreciated and viewed as valued, deserving of attention or respect by the associate staff. Interaction with office support is purely transactional as opposed to meaningful. For example, empathetic, personalized, or friendly. Periodic monitoring by corporate. Random surveys of coordinator performance will focus on ranking these statements. The coordinator speaks to you in a professional manner. The coordinator alerts you whenever there is an interruption in your schedule. The coordinator tries to address issues with a sense of urgency. Your shifts are fully covered, The coordinator attempts to match caregivers to your preferences. Focus on these items in order to achieve the highest possible score. Thank you for your time and attention.